Before the college entrance exam, the rich heiress was dumped in brutal fashion by the campus heartthrob. I gnawed on a steamed bun and leaned toward her, who clearly had no heart left for studying. I kind of look like the heartthrob. How about I chase after you instead? She was silent for a moment, then took out the couple's bracelet originally meant for him, and put it on my wrist. I shamelessly took it as a paid gig, demanding 1 million from her every month. She said nothing and wired me 2 million. After we got married, we had sex 4 times a week, punctual, precise, thoroughly attentive service. Everyone said Miss Lin had finally found true love. Until that day, the assistant quietly told me, that new special assistant around President Lin, rumor has it he was the campus heartthrob back in the day. Sir, it seems President Lin really likes him. She even gave him your favorite lounge. Chapter 1. I'm into Charlotte Lin purely for the money. She's a hopeless romantic who's willing to spend on her boyfriend. When I was starving and gnawing on plain buns, the thing I envied most was the campus heartthrob who, before even graduating, was already wearing a $2 million watch. I couldn't understand why he dumped rich Charlotte to go fly off into the sunset with some poor girl. So when he slapped Charlotte and stormed off, I stopped him at the classroom door. You guys really broke up. He gave a scornful glance at my threadbare school uniform and brushed my hand away in disgust. Yeah, we're done. Then can I go after her? He looked me up and down, taking in my shabby clothes, and burst out laughing. Sure, go for it. If you actually manage to get her, I'll give you this watch. I stared at the $2 million watch Charlotte had given him, and nodded. But at the post-exam class reunion, when he saw Charlotte holding onto my arm, his smile froze instantly. When she went to the restroom, he dedicated a song to me. When the lyrics played, calling someone a cheating bastard, the whole room went silent. Everyone stared at me. Leo, you're such a piece of trash. Luis sneered as he looked at me. I knew exactly what Charlotte saw in me, and I still opened a bottle of liquor and poured it over Luis's head. Then I casually took his watch. You made a bet. Sore losers shouldn't have gotten engaged to someone else. Leo. Luis roared and lunged at me, but Charlotte threw herself in front of me and took the slap. She pulled me out of the bar without saying a word the whole night. I thought, in the end, her heart still ached, but I knew exactly where I stood. I silently followed Luis's Instagram. Every time he posted a new outfit, I bought the same one, and wore it the next time Charlotte and I had sex. Every time she saw me in Luis's style, the emotion in her eyes became unreadable. I knew she secretly still followed him, too. When she looked at me, it was like she was seeing her old lover. My buddies were furious on my behalf. After all, I was her husband, but I actually didn't mind. I asked her for $1 million a month. She sent 2. So I asked for 3. She sent 5. Even if there's no love in this kind of life, so what? I was born into a loveless, penniless family. As long as there's a chance to make money, I'll throw pride to the wind and go after it. As long as Charlotte was still interested in me, I had to play my role well. On our 1-year anniversary, Luis posted a new photo on Instagram. He had tattooed a skull on his neck. I bit down hard enough to crush my teeth, enduring 10 hours of pain to get the same tattoo in the same spot. When Charlotte came out of the shower and saw the skull peeking out from under my purple shirt, she paused midway through drying her hair. What's wrong? Don't like it? Don't do that again. She wasn't into the skull. And throw out all your purple clothes. My heart sank. Purple was Luis's favorite color. Did that mean she didn't like me imitating her crush anymore? Was my stand-in job coming to an end? I mean, it must have hurt, she said. She flicked my forehead. Even if you don't copy him, I'll still give you lots of money. The next day, the housekeeper took away all my purple clothes. I never liked purple anyway. She filled my closet with black. I touched the fine fabric. So, Charlotte knew I liked black. But if I stopped copying Luis, what would happen to my role as her stand-in? So, I tested her. Asked for 8 million. She handed me a black card with no limit, custom designed for spouses. At a car expo with my friend, he asked curiously, didn't you say you'd cash out and bounce after 5 years? It's been almost 5. When are you divorcing her? I stared at the baby clothes in the shop window and fell into deep thought. Chapter 2. I had been Charlotte's stand-in for 5 years, so I had no idea what it meant to actually love someone. All I remembered was, before my mom left with another man, the one time she made me happiest was when she fashioned a rabbit for me out of foxtail grass. So I tried to crochet a rabbit using yarn. My hands were pricked and bloodied by the tools. I ruined several ugly attempts before finally getting it right. But Charlotte didn't seem to need it anymore, because today was supposed to be one of our regular intimacy nights, and she was already half an hour late. I waited on the sofa until I fell asleep. Eventually, I was woken by a kiss. Sorry, she murmured, sitting on my lap and wrapping her arms around my neck, kissing me fervently. The partner suddenly added new clauses. I came back a bit late. For the first time, I pushed her away. When are you planning to divorce me? She froze mid-breath. What are you talking about? I looked at her calmly. I know he's back. You even gave him my favorite private lounge. The special assistant already told me. I checked. It's no longer under my access. Her body tensed. Charlotte, don't worry. I won't cling to you. I won't ask for much in severance either. Just give me. But she had already picked up her phone. Her tone sharper than I had ever heard it. Special assistant. What special assistant? What about the lounge? People get reassigned under me now without my consent. On the other end, the HR director's voice trembled. President Lin. He showed us old photos of you two when you were dating. He said Mr. Leo stole his woman. And, well, Mr. Leo does look a lot like Mr. Luis. And those pictures, they really were of you. So we thought you approved. Charlotte's face turned ice cold. Blacklist Luis from every industry connection we have within an hour. I want the lounge access restored to my husband. Also, go pick up your final paycheck. HR tried to explain more, but she had already hung up. I looked at her, stunned. She turned and wrapped her arms tightly around me, kissing me with a desperate intensity. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I wasn't at headquarters these past days. That, I believed. She was always traveling for work, domestic and international, but no matter how far she went, she never once missed our 4 times a week schedule. Still, I wasn't completely reassured. I held her waist tightly. You blacklisted your crush. Aren't you afraid he'll be heartbroken? What crush? She kissed me until I was breathless. I only have you. Is this your way of showing your true feelings? Yes. Then, Charlotte. I leaned in and kissed her softly. What am I to you? She paused, then answered with even more fervor. My husband, the man I love the most. My body trembled. Then I'll really start acting like it from now on. You should have from the beginning. That night, I gripped her waist and didn't sleep a single second. Chapter 3. My handmade crafting skills had improved. The old one I unraveled was remade into a bigger, cuter rabbit. But then my buddy sent me a video. In the footage, Charlotte had just wrapped up a business meeting at her villa in City A. She walked past Luis, holding a black umbrella. Since being blacklisted, he had nowhere to go. He couldn't even afford rent. His entire body was soaked, his purple shirt clinging to him and outlining his attractive figure. He stood in the rain, teary-eyed, gazing at her. Charlotte. Luis's voice trembled. Charlotte paused for half a second, then kept walking, without even glancing back. Charlotte, have you forgotten what we had? Even as he called out to her, she never looked back. I let out a sigh of relief. Seemed like she knew where her loyalty lay, but I never expected Luis to be so stubborn. The rain poured all night, and he stood downstairs the entire time, until he collapsed. That's when I saw a black umbrella appear in view. Luis opened his eyes with effort. Looking up, Charlotte stood there, completely dry, her pale face expressionless, but the umbrella tilted slightly toward Luis. The next day, Charlotte flew back to the capital as planned. Only, the villa. She gave it to Luis. Leo. What now? Charlotte's the type who only spends money on her men. Remember, my friend said. I thought for a moment, if she sees me as her husband, then I'll just have to act like her husband. That very day, Luis was kicked out of the villa, and that night, Charlotte didn't come home. Since we got married, it was the first time she'd ever missed our designated intimacy day. I called her over a dozen times. She didn't answer. The next day, she came home, exhausted. Her eyes were bloodshot. Did you have Luis thrown out? I didn't avoid the question. Yes. Who gave you the right to be so unreasonable? Her accusatory tone caught me off guard. I looked up. Are you saying, as your husband, I should tolerate your ex-boyfriend living in one of our properties? Charlotte said nothing. She just frowned and threw me a video. In it, Luis was being dragged into an alley by a dozen men. His fingers were broken one by one, his mouth full of blood. Charlotte's voice quivered. If I hadn't gotten there in time, Luis would have jumped into the river by now. I stared coldly at the screen. What do you want me to do? Go to the hospital. Apologize to Luis. Charlotte. I pushed the phone back toward her. I'm not apologizing to your side piece. Side piece. Charlotte clearly hadn't expected me to say that. A smirk curled on her lips, one I'd never seen before. If anyone's the side piece, it's you, isn't it? My breath caught. She didn't care about my shock. She turned and left. For the first time, she slammed the door behind her. I sat alone on the sofa until late at night. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages from friends. Leo, what's going on? Charlotte's skipping all her work just to stay with another man in the hospital. They say he's her first love. That can't be real. Right. Leo, get to the hospital fast. Your wife's about to be someone else's. I didn't reply to any of them. Instead, I packed my things and waited for Charlotte to come home. 3 days later, when she saw my suitcase, she let out a light laugh. What's this? Running away from home? I handed her the divorce papers. Let's end this. I won't ask for any severance. Her hand froze mid-sip of tea. Chapter 4. She flipped through the pages of the agreement with a serious expression. Her hand trembled slightly. Divorce? Where do you think you're getting all that money from? Thank you, President Lin. I won't starve. She paused. Divorce is fine, but the money I spent on you, you'll pay it all back. I froze. After 5 years of being a stand-in, I had spent a lot of the money I earned. Seeing me go stiff, Charlotte's smile relaxed a little. If you can't pay it back, that's fine, as long as we don't divorce. All right. She was stunned. I've always had major financial anxiety. No matter how much money I had on hand, I couldn't bring myself to spend lavishly, even with 9 figures in my account. When Charlotte wasn't around, it was always instant noodles with 2 eggs. 5 years, I earned several hundred million, but only spent 2 million. I handed her my bank card and felt around on myself, then took off the $2 million watch I was wearing. It just happened to cover the amount I'd spent. This watch, I won it from a bet with Luis. It's mine. Take it, it makes a square. I grabbed Charlotte's hand and placed the watch in her palm. As I turned to leave, she threw the watch aside and grabbed my hand. Don't go. I didn't actually want you to pay me back. President Lin, usually sharp-tongued and eloquent, was speechless for once. Charlotte, don't hold me back. I was impatient, but the moment I turned and saw her, I fell silent. A teardrop landed on the back of my hand. I asked in disbelief. You cried. I'm sorry. She looked at me with red eyes. Don't treat me like this. I had never seen a woman like her cry. If the paparazzi caught this, Lin Group stock would probably fluctuate. So I sat down and listened to her explanation. That's when I found out she hadn't even been at the hospital the past few days. She had her friend send me those infuriating messages because she believed the people who humiliated Luis were arranged by me. She couldn't accept me doing something like that. She could tolerate me kicking someone out, but not utterly destroying them. Not having a group of men humiliate another man like that. Still, she had sent Luis to the hospital and visited him often, because she didn't want me to be sued, saying you were the homewrecker. I only said that out of anger. I'm sorry. Charlotte's eyes were still red. I paused for a moment. Charlotte, you really hurt me this time. A flash of pain crossed her eyes, but I can give you a chance. Her eyes lit up. Charlotte, I want you to cut ties with Luis completely. Send him away. Far, far away. Okay. She gripped my hand like she was holding onto something precious she'd almost lost. I promise you. Chapter 5. Charlotte kept her word. The next day, Luis was sent overseas. His ex-girlfriend was backpacking through that country. Charlotte seemed haunted by how she had hurt me. Her close aide secretly told me, at this weekend's press conference, President Lin was going to publicly announce her other half. Charlotte and I had a secret marriage. As her stand-in, I'd never thought this arrangement was unreasonable, but now, I was genuinely looking forward to the announcement. All week during our married life days, she was even more insatiable than before. Afterward, she would cling to me in bed and whisper, "There's a press conference this weekend. You're coming with me." I smiled and played dumb. Sure. I arrived at the venue on time that weekend. Charlotte's assistant pulled me to the main seat. There, the spotlight hit me just right. The room was full of reporters, cameras clicking and recording. Everyone wanted to know, who was the mysterious husband President Lin had been hiding all these years. A bouquet of roses was handed to me by the assistant. They were my favorite, Bulgarian red roses. Still dewy, clearly flown in. In the midst of the anticipation, Charlotte arrived, fashionably late. From the stage, her gaze landed on me, a hint of a flirtatious smile playing on her lips. She looked at me, brought the mic closer, and said, "My other half is the boy I fell in love with at first sight back in high school." Love at first sight? I froze. The curtain was pulled open. The roses in my hand were taken and handed to another man. He's my first love, Luis. Chapter 6. I stared in shock at the man slowly approaching in a purple tracksuit, looking lazy and smug. The spotlight wasn't on me. It was shining on that purple Saint Laurent suit. The man who was supposed to be abroad wore a trace of a victorious smile. Charlotte. My buddy slammed the table and stood up. What's the meaning of this? Your husband is right here. He shoved me out to the front of the stage. Charlotte's gaze slid right past me. Her smile turned cold. Do I really have to expose what you've done in front of the media for you to give up? What do you mean? My voice trembled as I looked at her. Luis's eyes turned red in an instant. A flicker of pain passed through Charlotte's eyes. The next second, the big screen lit up with footage of Luis in Northern Europe, disheveled, beaten and even humiliated by a group of white men. Leo. Charlotte lowered her eyes and looked at me. I already did what you asked. I sent him away. Why do you have to destroy him completely? Chapter 7. The venue instantly erupted. Someone actually arranged for President Lin's men to be assaulted. That's insane. Wait, didn't that guy just say he's President Lin's husband? But didn't she just announce the guy in purple? An entertainment reporter smelled something big. Something's off. If the guy in black is Lin's husband, Then the one she announced is the homewrecker. Exactly. And didn't Lin herself say she sent someone away at that guy's request? Why would she listen to him if he's not her husband? Charlotte cut through the noise. Everyone. I'd like to clarify, Mr. Luis is not the homewrecker. Her gaze fell on me. Mr. Leo is. As soon as she finished, the big screen began showing photo after photo. Intimate memories from their time together as a couple. At the amusement park, Charlotte was making a peace sign to the camera while Luis quietly stole a bite of her ice cream. On the roller coaster, a screaming Charlotte had her eyes covered by a grinning Luis. In the classroom, just as Charlotte peeked at Luis, he clicked the shutter on the camera. Scene after scene of youthful innocence pulled people back into their own high school memories. Some reporters covered their mouths, getting emotional. Oh my God, this is so sweet, it reminds me of my first love. No matter how much time passes, first love is always unforgettable. You can see it, President Lin's eyes are full of love. If it was that perfect, why did they ever break up? Luis took the microphone. Before the college entrance exams, Charlotte and I had a small fight. Mr. Leo took the opportunity to confess to her. We were both being stubborn, and when I finally decided to make up with her, I saw him kiss her. He choked up, then composed himself and continued. I thought Charlotte didn't love me anymore. That's why I stepped back. You're full of it. My buddy Daniel exploded with rage. You broke up with Charlotte because you wanted to run away with that poor girl. Leo asked if you two were over. He even asked if he could pursue Charlotte, and you said yes. Then when you found out that your poor ex not only had no money but even wanted a bride price, you remembered the perks of dating a rich woman. You knew Charlotte was married, but still had the nerve to manipulate HR to make yourself her assistant. If we're talking about homewreckers, you're the one. Charlotte's expression stiffened for a moment, but she quickly recovered. The entire press room was confused. Reporters looked at each other, unsure what to believe. If what that Daniel guy said is true, then it's not really cheating, right? A young couple fights, says stuff in the heat of the moment, and Leo actually took it seriously. If that's not inserting himself into their relationship, what is? But Luis himself said Leo could go after her. If a couple gets to that point, maybe they should break up. In the end, Luis said it himself. You can't blame anyone else. Luis hadn't expected things to escalate like this. He tugged at Charlotte's sleeve awkwardly. Charlotte, we didn't actually break up back then, right? Charlotte seemed lost in thought. Then she looked at me with a complicated expression. I clenched my fists. President Lin, at the time, what we had was mutual, wasn't it? She frowned slightly, then slowly took the microphone. Yes, Luis and I never officially broke up. It was all just a misunderstanding from years ago. If we hadn't met again after all this time, I might have lived in the dark forever. The entertainment reporters immediately pounced on the truth. So basically, Leo took advantage of their fight and kissed Charlotte Lin, which made Luis give up and move on. Then Charlotte saw Luis with someone else and settled for Leo. Neither Luis nor Charlotte denied it. The cameras turned on me instantly. A shocking scandal, 5 years of being the other man. Thank goodness President Lin and Mr. Luis cleared up their misunderstanding, or they might have missed out forever. Even his name, Leo, sounds just as careless as he is. You all don't know what you're talking about. Daniel was furious and wanted to argue, but I held him back. I looked at Charlotte. So, you really want to divorce me? She paused, then nodded. Of course. The room erupted in applause. Congrats to President Lin and Mr. Luis for getting back together. After all the twists and turns, they were meant to be. Charlotte didn't respond. She just kept looking at me. I didn't know what kind of reaction she was waiting for. I simply nodded. All right. She looked stunned for a second. I grabbed Daniel and turned away, pushing through the reporters and cameras without looking back. When the divorce agreement was delivered to me, the aide who brought it along gave me a mocking look. Daniel couldn't hold it in. What are you looking at? We'll sign it right now and send it back. Leo won't sign. The aide laughed. Who's going to give him that kind of money after leaving President Lin? This divorce agreement says Leo leaves with nothing. He won't dare. Who says he won't? Daniel stomped his foot in anger. I quickly pulled him back and looked at the aide. I'll take the agreement. Let me think it over. The aide gestured politely. As you wish. As Daniel and I turned to leave, I heard him make a phone call. Yes, President Lin. Just as you thought, he's hesitating. Looks like bringing up divorce earlier was just a strategic retreat to gain the upper hand. On the other end, I clearly heard Charlotte let out a cold chuckle, but what she didn't know is that I really am going to sign it. Chapter 8. Back at the home that now belonged to just me, Daniel was stomping around in anger. Who does she think she is? First, she calls you her husband. Now she pulls this, gets you to fall for her and then kicks you aside like trash. Do all these spoiled rich girls like playing this cruel? Who said I fell for her? Daniel curled his lip. If you didn't, why'd you come back? You're just here to clean up the evidence that you did fall for her. My hands, which were busy packing handmade crafts, paused. Then I pretended like nothing had happened and stuffed the woven rabbit into a storage pouch. I did not. Then I packed up my year-long love diary, photos of me and Charlotte, and the handmade ring I had crafted for her. I didn't want her to think I still loved her when I left. I signed the divorce papers, placed them on her desk with the black card, and used that $2 million watch to press them down. Then I dragged my suitcase and walked out of that house. Chapter 9. After I left, I found a quiet place and used the interest from those hundreds of millions I'd earned over the years to open a small flower shop. I didn't really keep up with Charlotte's news, but she and Luis were just too high profile to ignore lately. She took him to investment summits. He'd clearly never been in such circles before, but she personally led him around, introducing him to all the big names. That Ocean View restaurant she used to only go to with me, that private VIP window seat that had been ours, was now theirs. On Valentine's Day, Charlotte lit up 214 sky lanterns for Luis, each with a pearl worth $10,000, totaling to $14 million. The photos went viral instantly. Even though I had blocked both their names, I still saw them everywhere. So I turned off my phone entirely and focused on running my flower shop. Daniel squatted beside me, chin in hand. It's fine, man. That kind of thing never lasts. I smiled and sprayed him with the water hose. I don't give a damn how long they last. The flower shop quickly filled with our laughter. At the same time, Charlotte kept staring down at her phone. I hadn't sent her a message in a long time. During the years I was her stand-in, I texted her good morning and good night every single day, whether she replied or not. I sent a string of kissy face emojis anyway. After she started calling me husband, I messaged her even more often. But this was the first time I'd gone a whole week without sending a single word. I'm heading back. They had originally planned to stay out with each other until midnight on February 15th. But not even 10 o'clock had struck when she made an excuse to part ways with Luis. It was the first time all week that she came back to the marital home we once shared. She thought she'd find me sulking inside, but when she opened the door, the first thing she saw was the divorce agreement, pressed down on the desk with the watch. She flipped to the last page. Every spot requiring my signature had been signed. She would never mistake my handwriting. I had really signed it. Her assistant beside her was dumbfounded. Charlotte grabbed her by the shoulders. Didn't you say he was a strategic retreat to gain the upper hand? That he was just trying to get me to change my mind? Then why did he leave the card and the watch? I don't understand either. The assistant stared blankly at the black card I had left on the desk. Mr. Leo shouldn't have been able to let go. Find him. Charlotte's voice was hoarse. Search the capital and all surrounding cities. Sweep them. A city. 2. Check flights. Trains. I want to know where he went. Yes, ma'am, but... President Lin. The assistant couldn't help herself. Do you want the divorce or not? Charlotte froze. Chapter 10. I was in the back garden tending the soil when someone suddenly appeared behind me. Daniel, can you bring me the hose? After a moment of silence with no movement, I turned my head in confusion, only to be slammed against the wall. You'd rather be here planting flowers than be with me. What are you doing here? Isn't today Valentine's Day? I left the divorce papers for you. You actually signed them. Her breathing was shaky. I never wanted you to leave me. If I had known you'd really sign, I never would have used that to tease you. Tease me? I was stunned. She gripped the front of my shirt tightly. I was just throwing a tantrum. After all, what you did to Luis was way over the line. I get it. You were jealous, but your methods were disgusting. That time, I just wanted to give you a wake-up call. I never meant for us to actually divorce. I stared at her in disbelief. Why would you ever think that threatening divorce is a reasonable way to wake someone up? Because I thought you wouldn't really leave. Her eyes turned red. I always knew. You only saw me as your sugar mama. When you acted out, I figured you were just playing games to squeeze more money out of me. But that time, you went too far. So when you pulled the divorce card again, I just let you talk. I didn't bother to coax you. I suddenly laughed. A sharp slap came out of nowhere. Charlotte was hit across the face by Daniel, who had just returned from a supply run. You're the one who's playing games. You and Luis both are. If Leo was really playing games, why the hell would he leave you the black card? If he saw you as just a cash machine, he would have gone straight to court to split the marital assets 50-50. Charlotte froze. She looked at me in shock. Like she had only just realized that detail. Husband, is that true? There was a flicker of hope in her eyes, but I just smiled. How about this? Give me 2/3 of your fortune, and I'll go back with you. The light in her eyes faded. She lowered her head and let out a soft laugh. Knew it. You're still the same as always. Whether you come back or not, do whatever you want. With that, she turned and walked away. Chapter 11. In Charlotte's prediction, I was bound to come back in the end. After all, I was only in it for the money. Without her, who else would give me that much? But I left, with Daniel. She waited and waited, but I never returned. Finally, She couldn't help it and went back to the flower shop, but it was already abandoned. Amid the rubble, one particular storage pouch caught her eye. Inside was a soft, plush bunny, perfect for hugging in your sleep. A black-covered diary slipped out, old-fashioned, lock style with a combination. She hesitated, then typed in my birthday. Incorrect. Then, incredulous, she typed in her own. Click. It opened. She stared at the pages, unable to believe what she saw. 2017 6/12. Met a super rich, love-brained woman today. Amazing. Leo. From now on, it's steak every day. 2019 5/23. Daniel asked if pretending to be someone else bothered me. Bother me? Hell no. Used to not even have enough to eat. Now I get full-course meals. A little acting. Who cares? 2021 4/3. Married. She actually married me. What if Luis comes back? Isn't she cutting off her own backup plan? No, I need to make money fast. If Luis returns, I won't get a dime. 2021 6/11. Shit. I think I might be falling for my sugar mama, but maybe she loves me too. After all, I stopped mimicking Luis. So, what does it mean to love someone? Besides Daniel, I've never truly confided in anyone. Even my name, Mom gave it to me after seeing a tiger documentary right after I was born. But before she left with another man, she once made a bunny for me out of wild grass. Maybe, that's what love looks like. 2021 7/22. My hands are full of cuts. Turns out loving someone is harder than I thought. 2022 4/16. The woven bunny is finished. I even made a handmade ring, was planning to give it to her. But she played me. She never loved me. Charlotte, you lied to me. We're enemies now. The woven bunny was clenched tightly in Charlotte's hand. She couldn't believe what she was reading. At the very bottom of the pouch lay a silver ring, already darkened over time. The craftsmanship was crude, but full of care. Inside the band, her initials were engraved, right next to a little heart, and the initials, Leo. Leo. Her breath trembled. Where are you? President Lin. President Lin. Her assistant came running, out of breath, phone in hand. Mr. Leo, what about him? Charlotte stood up abruptly. We just confirmed, the thugs who attacked Mr. Luis in Northern Europe, were hired by Luis himself. Mr. Leo was innocent all along. The woven bunny crumpled even tighter in Charlotte's hand. Chapter 12. Following Charlotte for 5 years wasn't without reward. From her, I learned a great deal about business. With that knowledge, Daniel and I built our own small world in City A. It wasn't on the scale of Charlotte's empire, but we no longer had to worry about food or rent. If I liked something, I could just buy it. But just as things were finally going smoothly for me, a huge investment landed in my company. I had no choice but to meet the investor, only to see her, wearing a ring I knew all too well. The ring was crude in design and didn't match her couture outfit at all. I stared at the woman in front of me, stunned. Miss Lin. The meeting room was empty, just the two of us. She looked at me, and suddenly her eyes filled with emotions I couldn't read. The next second, she pulled me into a fierce hug, her lips crashing onto mine with a desperate intensity. Like something she had held back for a long time was now breaking loose. I shoved her away forcefully, but she clung to me tightly. Her voice trembled. I was wrong. Come back. What are you talking about? She held up the ring for me to see. I love this ring. And Charlotte still loves Leo. My breath caught. Wasn't that the engraving I had carved inside the ring? Don't wear it. It's ugly. I didn't even want to look at it, but she just smiled. How could it be? It's beautiful. I love it. Miss Lin. We're already divorced. She didn't respond. Instead, she pulled out a document, a property transfer agreement. My eyes widened. She nodded. You said before, if I gave you 2/3 of my fortune, you'd come back. Well now, I'm giving you everything. I thought I'd misheard. Are you insane? That's your life's work. You're throwing it all away. She looked at me calmly. How could it be wasted, if I found you? The pen in my hand froze. Then I threw it onto the table. Sorry, Miss Lin. You can withdraw your investment now. Leo. She grabbed my hand anxiously. You wanted money, didn't you? I can give it to you. No need, Miss Lin. My tone was steady. When it comes to you, I don't want anything anymore. Leo. There it was again. That familiar note of hurt in her voice. I turned, and sure enough, her eyes were red again. Don't be like this. Please, just take it. Don't treat me this way. Once upon a time, I might have been tempted by a fortune that big, but now that I could earn a decent living on my own, I no longer envied Charlotte. I no longer wanted to trade my emotions for money. Sorry, Miss Lin. I slowly pried her hand off mine. Then I called out, Danny, show her out. Daniel, who'd never liked Charlotte to begin with, didn't hesitate. He brought in the full security team to separate her from me. Behind me, her voice sounded unusually desolate. My steps only paused for a second. Then I walked out in my leather shoes without looking back. Chapter 13. Luis still refused to give up. Even though his self-staged assault scandal had been completely exposed, and he was now penniless, he still believed that first love had lethal power. Once again, on a rainy night, he put on that signature purple shirt and stood outside Charlotte's building. Charlotte came out again, holding a black umbrella, but this time, he didn't expect her to not tilt the umbrella toward him. Instead, she sneered coldly, and ordered her people to tie him to a tree, right there in the storm. Didn't you want to play the poor victim? Charlotte curved her lips. Let me help you out. No, Charlotte, I was wrong. Let me go. I'll leave right now. But Charlotte didn't listen. She turned and walked back into the house, without a word more. That night, Luis was struck by lightning. His body convulsed in pain as his eyes closed forever, and Charlotte never walked out of that house again. When people finally found her, she was curled up in a chair, holding a warm, soft, woven bunny. Beside her was an empty bottle of sleeping pills. She had left behind a will. She gave her entire estate to me. When I received the inheritance confirmation, I stood there stunned, staring at her lying peacefully in the coffin. My heart skipped a beat. Tears fell hard onto the coffin lid. I clenched my teeth. Charlotte, even in death, you still had to make it this hard for me.